back, everybody.
We're back. If you are listening right now, congratulations. You are one of 3 subscribers, one of 3 listeners. Jake, Edward, and you.
Yeah, mystery
So
person.
welcome.
Mystery person that may be a member of our family.
Yeah. So welcome, mystery person.
Yeah.
Very special to us, whoever you are listening.
Indeed.
You are a very special individual. So thank you. It's Thursday, August 25th.
Yeah, it's been a big day today.
Has it?
I mean, it's a big day in terms of like news. Like, there's been a lot of stuff on the news. Obviously,
Right.
stuff that we're not gonna get into. We're not a fucking news podcast.
Climate, I believe.
Yeah.
From what I remember. That was weird, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, weather. You know. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
They're trying to change us to all electric cars, and Elon Musk says it ain't gonna do a damn thing.
Really?
We switched them all.
Yeah.
That's what he said. I don't know if he's correct, but he
Yeah.
said, according to science, if we switched every single vehicle to electric tomorrow, it wouldn't really do anything.
Because that's not really. I guess the conversation is that that's not really like a huge source of the problem, is it?
Oh, is that okay? Gotcha.
Like, is that what it is?
I don't know, dude. I'm not even like that. Dude, I'm not even like that educated on it, to be honest.
Neither am I. I know there's like a lot of conversations about it. There's a lot of conversations about it that starts with the word C that ends with Ina. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of like blame pushing. So I really have no idea.
Yeah.
It's what.
Dude, my thing is like, there's certain sciences that I'm pretty educated on and others that I'm not. My thing is I just tentatively accept what scientists say generally.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing, dude, because it's like same thing for me. Like, I think if there's like one subject that I feel like I can talk about, if there's a subject that I feel like I can really talk about, is the subject that this fucking podcast is about. It's like I can really talk about films, and I can really talk about like philosophical ideas. Can't talk about anything else. I don't know anything about science. For everybody listening to this podcast, we're not authorities on anything, including the fucking subject of this podcast in and of itself. So just try to have fun with us. Don't take us too serious.
Dude, I could talk for a while about like certain parts of biology, like evolutionary biology, evolution, paleontology. I'm pretty damn. Dude, when I was a kid, I was the biggest freaking nerd about prehistory, like dinosaurs and just prehistoric life, prehistoric evolution. Yeah, dude, that's one. I could definitely answer some trivia.
Yeah, so this could be a dinosaur podcast in which you talk and I listen.
Honestly, dude, I could drop some facts on you, man. But yeah, no, that's one area of science I'm very well versed in.
Yeah, bro. Like, I think I'm not versed in any area of science. I don't think I have like any knowledge in any area of science. Like, any area of science, I have no knowledge.
I'm very literate when it comes to I'm very scientifically literate on in terms of evolution and paleontology. I'm very very educated on that stuff. Only because I was very interested in it as a child. Dude, hundreds of hours probably that I spent researching, reading about. Because as a kid, dude, I still have them in my room. These thick dinosaur books, dude. These thick books about paleontology and evolutionary biology and stuff, dude. And I would just thumb through them as a kid and just read and look at the pictures and learn about like which dinosaurs lived how long ago. Like, dude, if you named a dinosaur, I could tell you like what geological era it lived in. You know, like T-Rex, appears around 70 million years ago, goes extinct 65 million years ago. Like, dude, I'm such a freaking nerd on that shit.
Yeah.
But so hey, if I ever meet a cute girl at a bar and she ends up being a paleontologist,
Yeah, they can really spit some facts.
yeah, dude, I can go, I can go toe to toe, man.
Which, talking about Spider-Man, I think they're making a fourth one of those, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, so I'm curious because I know that you and I had a conversation about that movie at one point, and about like the validity of them making a fourth movie, which they were gonna make regardless of the philosophical you know argument about whether they should or shouldn't. They were always gonna make a fourth one just because these fucking movies are so profitable.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too with like Marvel and like blockbuster films. It's a little bit different because you're like, well, it's weird because it's like you don't know if they're justified in making another film until they do, and then
Right.
you can judge it for yourself. Unless like again, you look at like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul as examples.
Hmm.
A lot of well-meaning characters are punished in that show, as we saw, um, but it's at the expense of um, the actual protagonists who are making horrible choices, and
Right.
it's a consequence for them. So
Right.
they're sort of collateral.
I think I think there's something to like
They're a bit disconnected from the philosophy.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think there's something to the idea of like having that be done to like an anti-hero character, right? Like
Yeah,
like I would be completely okay with the idea of like, let's say, a trilogy of the Punisher movies ending like in a more grim way for that character,
yeah,
because I feel like that kind of is like what the idea is about with characters like that. It's like these are people who are willing to do immoral things for a for an end, right? These are ends justify the means type of guys, right?
yeah.
And I feel like somehow like seeing a guy like that end up in jail at the end of a story could in and of itself be like, okay, this makes sense, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? But then, like you said,
yeah,
like when you have like somebody like Spider-Man, spoilers, spoilers for everything. Again, spoilers for Spider-Man. When you have somebody like Spider-Man, and you're like, this guy's just like wholly a good person and a kid, you know,
yeah.
then I feel like from that perspective, it makes sense to be like, let's just give this guy a break, Like I came across something like a week ago, and it had to do with like who would win in a fight, you know, and it was like it was like people just like discussing like who would in a fight like between like Wolverine and the Thing or something, like, you know what I'm saying. um
Yeah.
and somebody replied to like a like a very popular tweet. Somebody replied with like a video of Stan Lee that I had never seen. And the video was literally him saying like, stop asking me, like, or like Stan Lee, like close to his age, like where he passed, may he rest in peace, like close to the age where he passed. So like, old man, and he's like, stop asking me. It's like, stop coming up to me and asking me who would win, the Hulk or Spider-Man? Who would win, Captain America or the Swamp Thing? It's like, stop. He was like, I'm gonna give you the answer to this question, and the answer is whoever I want it to be in the story. He was like, the
Yeah.
answer, the answer is whoever the writer wants to win, that's who's gonna win. So if you have a story where it's Spider-Man against the Hulk, and the writer wants Spider-Man to win, Spider-Man is going to defeat the Hulk. And it's
Exactly.
like, exactly like this is like
They're gonna find a way for Spider-Man is gonna find a way
exactly.
to defeat the Hulk.
Yeah.
People come at it with like a flesh and blood, like this flesh and blood rationalization. Like they're like, okay, removed from the stories with their powers, who's more likely to win?
Right.
I do think I see what Stanley's saying, but I do also think that's valid to be like, okay, given their physical
Right.
attributes and their fighting styles and everything, like who would win?
No, absolutely, and that's like that's like the funny, or that's like the fun, excuse me, part of like being like a nerd and being like, oh shit, let's just talk about who's gonna win. If we pit,
Yeah,
Tony Stark against Iron Man, it's like whatever. But
Tony Stark against Iron Man.
yeah, who do you think would win that battle?
It's the same guy.
Oh no, shit! That's right. Tony Stark against Iron Man. I meant, I meant, I meant Bruce Wayne against Tony Stark. I meant to say like Tony Stark against Batman, not fucking Iron Man.
Batman versus Iron Man?
Yeah,
Probably Iron Man.
yeah. I put my money on Iron Man.
I don't know though, because Batman fought Superman, dog.
Yeah.
Shit, man, I don't know. Dude, I don't know, man. Okay, which Batman are we talking about? That's the question.
Well, the
Are we talking
Batman,
about Ben
the
Affleck's Batman
yeah, the
or
Batman
Richard?
that fought Superman was the Ben Affleck Batman. So the Ben
Yeah,
Affleck Batman.
I don't know. I think he'd kick Iron Man's ass, possibly.
Yeah.
Um, but then again, he had kryptonite on his side with Superman, and that brought Superman down to his level.
Yeah.
He needs something that equivalent to bring Iron Man down to his level.
Yeah, but from what I
Because
understand, Iron Man doesn't really have like any discernible weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like Iron Man's like the Superman of the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
but he's just a little more like grounded and human.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even have powers. He just has this suit that
Yeah.
makes him
I think.
superhuman.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, somebody listening to this probably has the answer to this, but I think they're probably like even like intellect wise.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't know, dude. I think Tony Stark is a lot smarter than Bruce Wayne
Yeah,
is.
it seems to me that Tony Stark might be a lot smarter than Bruce Wayne, because like I think Bruce Wayne, but I don't know, man. Because it's like there's stories that have made these characters like absolutely overpowered. Like
Yeah,
there's a Batman story where he kills like the whole Justice League. Like the whole Justice League becomes evil, and he's the only one who's not evil. And it's like, oh, but Batman has like all this safe, you know, he has like all these like things to counter everybody. And so he
yeah,
just kills everybody. So it's like then that guy's pretty smart. But at the same time, it's like Tony Stark has the same things. Like he has that like
yeah.
he has the exact same. He has suits to counter everybody. He had that like Hulkbuster like suit, in the second Avengers movie. So it's like
That's true.
it almost seems like we're talking about the exact same character just in two different universes.
That is true, and I do think that pretty sure Batman came first.
I think so.
Um,
Yeah, I think so.
I'm like almost 100% sure he
Yeah,
came out in like the 40s. And I think Iron Man was kind of like because Marvel and DC have knockoffs of each other.
yeah.
Um, some some sort of subtle and then some purposeful. Like Deadpool was a purposeful knockoff of Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that is, dude. I don't know, man. They're pretty evenly
they're
matched.
pretty evenly
Iron
matched. Like,
Man and Batman.
yeah,
If you take into account like because Batman basically had his Hulkbuster in Batman v Superman.
hmm
You know,
yeah. Exactly,
I
exactly.
don't know. I might, I might put my money on Iron Man to be honest with
I
you,
I think so. I think ultimately, I put my money on Iron
because Iron Man has way more like technical knowledge than Batman. Like, I don't think Bruce Wayne really has any technical knowledge whatsoever.
Man.
Besides, like, I mean, he knows how to use his gadgets, but I think like Lucius Fox or whatever makes all that crap for him.
Yeah.
I think it depends on.
Lucius Fox. What a funny name.
Yeah, I know, right? I think it depends on which continuity we're talking about,
Exactly,
but
because that's the
one
thing,
thing
man.
is Batman. I don't know if Batman's usually all that techie though.
Yeah, because like from my understanding, Batman is just supposed to be, like it all started as a fucking detectives comic. It's like,
Yeah,
isn't he just supposed to be like really smart? Like, not really smart. Isn't he just supposed to be like the world's best detective who also beats people up?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So it's like, well, on the other hand, Iron Man is in his universe. He's a genius. He's like this like tech guy whose technology is like hundreds of years and for like ahead of normal people's technology.
yeah. I might put Yeah, dude, I might put my money on Iron Man
I think I
because
put my money on
Iron Man also has all that flight and shit.
it. Mm-hmm.
And he takes on took on Thanos,
He really
took
did
on
took on
you
Thanos.
can't
Yeah.
really compare that to Batman. Batman, dude, yeah, he beat Superman in Batman v Superman, but he had kryptonite.
But that that's like one of the funny things about these fucking movies, where it's like at least I feel like when you have a continuity, you should remain faithful to that continuity. And what
Yeah,
I'm trying to bring in, fucking Infinity War, right? Spoilers for Infinity War. Like this is just a fucking spoiler filled conversation about all these fucking movies. Um, but the thing that was amazing to me about Infinity War was, they start that movie and immediately it's like Thanos versus Hulk. Amazing. Like, dude, that's like the best way they could have possibly opened up that movie. And the Hulk just gets owned. He just owns him. Um,
yeah,
but then throughout the movie, Thanos faces challenges that he is only able to overcome because of the gems, or
right.
or however the fuck you call those stones, whatever it is that they are.
Infinity Stones.
Yeah, the Infinity Stones. Like he's only able to overcome certain things because of those, right? Like when Spider-Man, Peter Quill, and Iron Man gang up on him, and Bautista and Bautista from the WWE.
Batista bombs him.
Yeah, when Batista bombs him, when he gets Batista bombed, like when these guys are taking on him, it's too much for him, you know. And the only reason why he gets away with that is because Quill has that whole like, he loses his temper, and then he's
Yeah,
able to get the best of them because of the stones.
yeah,
But Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Batista and Peter Quill was like enough. It was like, oh, these guys are
yeah,
getting him. They're taking him out.
yeah,
And then he goes onto Earth, and again, Captain America puts up a fight against him, and Thor almost one KO'd him. Like he almost KO'd him. It was just too short. He flipped it.
yeah.
But then in Endgame, and this is like what pisses me off about Endgame, and I know, we're talking about Endgame. Everybody and their mom has made a fucking like 2-hour YouTube video criticizing this movie or praising this movie.
Yeah,
Or doing both, and I've seen a handful of those. So I'm not saying anything new, but it's like I guess like my grievance with that is that I feel like if you establish in a chronology, right? Like you said, like you can always make a one-shot comic, and then be like Hulk versus Wolverine, and in that you go like Wolverine beats him. But
right,
you can't have like a chronology in which you establish like Hulk is like 10 times Wolverine, and he
right.
like blows him to smithereens. But in that same chronology, 50 chapters, like 50 volumes later, Wolverine beats him up, and it's like, okay, you can't do that. Like there's a thing here. So that was it. That was like what my grievance with like Endgame. By the end of that movie, and I know it was necessary because I had to do the whole like, oh my god, the reinforcements are here. But at one point in that movie, Thanos is just Thanos, and he's going up against like four dudes. It's like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and there might be somebody else in there that was also like, and he's like pounding these dudes, like pounding them. And then the reinforcements get there, and he's still pounding everybody. He's like still like beating
Yeah,
everybody up, like beating everybody up, like everybody that's coming out
yeah,
onto him. And I remember watching that shit and being like, hey, what's going on here? It's like it's like you're lying to me now. Like we established that this guy can beat anybody one on one. You know, we established that, but we also established that if a couple of people gang up on him, it's too much. Like
yeah,
they can get his ass, especially if there are people like Thor that almost killed him on his own, or like Iron Man
right.
who held his own against him, or like fucking Captain America. And now those three exact same guys are battling him all at once, and he's like making schmutz out of them. And then Spider-Man comes in, and he makes smooch out of Spider-Man. And then Captain Marvel comes in, who is the strongest character in this universe, from what we understand. And he's like,
Yeah.
he's like, they're even. And I'm like, bro, like you're fucking with me. But I guess it's like my tangent about that shit.
Yeah, I mean, they even went back in time. It was the same fucking like moment, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know. Honestly, dude, I remember more from Infinity War than I do from Endgame.
I
Like,
do
I feel
too.
like
Yeah,
Infinity War is the Empire Strikes Back of the
absolutely.
series,
Yeah, yeah,
and then Endgame is the Return of the Jedi of the series, where it's a little bit more divisive.
yeah. No, it is a
Um,
little bit more diverse. It's still a great movie. Still a fun time. It's like just not. It
yeah,
doesn't work as well. It's not structured like as well. With all this like time travel shenanigans
yeah,
and
and it's
plot
also
conveniences, contrivances.
yeah, yeah, and it's also I mean, dude, I will say it had the one of the best movie endings of all time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, dude, I was literally thinking about that. I was like, but that's where it got people. It's like that whole
Yeah,
saying of like, just nail the ending, just nail
yeah,
it, and
yeah,
everything else will be forgiven. And I feel like that was how people came out of that movie. Because I saw that movie and I was like, fantastic ending.
yeah.
But I also knew I was like, but this wasn't better than Infinity War. And in and of itself, Infinity War to me has an ending that matches this one. You know, like I remember when I went to the movie theater and Infinity War ended, everybody was just like in shock. You know,
Yeah.
and in that movie, that's a perfect ending for Thanos. Spoilers for Infinity War, obviously. This has been like 15 minutes of spoilers, but that
Yeah,
maybe.
where Shrek is like sitting in the field. I mean, Thanos is
Yeah,
sitting in the
no, dude,
field.
that movie was Shrek's film. And if you look at it that way, it's like, oh, great ending. Like this guy did it. It was full of shock. You know. So I don't know, man.
Dude, in Endgame when they go to his little hut
Yeah.
and he's sitting there and dude, he looks like Shrek. And I swear to God, I thought I was about to hear somebody call me. Oh, dude, I swore to God, when they walked in, I was
Dude,
somebody once
if
told
if
me the
if Marvel
world is
if Marvel was truly
unfair.
like about their money, like if Disney was truly about their business, right?
Yeah.
They would buy DreamWorks and they would just change Thanos for Shrek.
Dude, this is a thing. I just looked up Thanos Shrek. This is
Yeah,
a thing.
but dude, but
It's
I'm saying,
everywhere.
I'm saying like they like I'm saying I'm saying like
No.
I'm saying like they re-released the film, right? And just change all the advertising. They even put the movie in theaters again, and they just changed Thanos for Shrek, and they
Oh,
get Mike Myers to do the voice. And it's played,
dude.
it is played, dude, and it's played absolutely like seriously. It's never like a
Oh,
wink. It's never like a wink, wink, like oh I'm Shrek. It's always just like absolutely serious. Shrek is Thanos. Like nobody's questioning that.
oh, dude, I would fucking, dude, I'd pay double price to go see that.
10 out of 10, dude. That would be a 10 out of 10 film.
No question. Like, dude, uh, movie tickets are what, like $15? I would pay $30 per ticket to go see that, dude.
Yeah.
No question. Dude, go to Google right now and type in Thanos Shrek.
Let me
You
see.
do it.
Let me see.
Everyone listening, go type in Thanos Shrek. Dude, this is a thing. I thought it was just me, but like it's not at all. Ah, that's hilarious, man.
Thanos, Shrek. Shrek is like in the zeitgeist again. There was like a filter of his that I saw the
Oh,
other day.
really?
There he is. And there's like both. There's like Thanos with Shrek replacing him, and there's Thanos that just is Shrek, like with the Shrek clothes, and his head is replacing Shrek's.
Oh man,
And there's Will
dude.
Smith as Shrek, with Shrek on the right side of his shoulder, and with Thanos on the left side of his shoulder.
What is happening, dude? Dude, you know what else they do that in? It really bothered me. What you were just saying about like, so you're watching. Infinity War, Thanos is kicking everyone's ass. Or excuse me, they're all kicking Thanos' ass. And then you watch Endgame, and Thanos is kicking everyone's ass.
Yeah.
You know what else did that a lot?
What?
Was WWE.
Oh yeah, man.
Like, dude, that shit made no sense. Like, I remember as a kid, right? I'm watching. Like 2009, right? This is one example that stands out, but there's probably a ton of them. One example that stands out for me. 2008, 2009.
I'm still looking at this trick. It's the Thanos shit.
Like, dude, that's all I thought of when they come to his little hut.
Yeah.
He's like, I destroyed the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
And he looks like SHREK, dude.
Dude, like, what is true about that character is that they really thought, they really sat down and just thought, what are the most, like, epic lines that we can give somebody, Like, I always think about that line, and I'm probably gonna butcher it. In the line, it's the line where he's like, "You couldn't live with your failures, and it brought you right back to me." Amazing,
yeah.
Like just full of amazing, like amazing comebacks, like amazing lines.
Yeah, well, he's one of the best. He's one of the great villains, like that has come out recently. He's very they made him very human, just very like the fact that he has to like sacrifice Gamora and stuff. But but what I was saying was like I remember clearly in like 2008, 2009 and watching WWE. Batista and Randy Orton were feuding a lot, right?
Yeah.
And what I remember is Batista was always like Batista was the face. For anyone who doesn't know wrestling, that's the good guy, and then Randy was the heel, that's the bad guy. And Batista was just whooping Randy's ass like left and right, but Randy, he had like his group of like thugs, Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Legacy, and then they would like jump Batista, right? And then like it'd be like 3-on-1, and then he sidelined Batista like twice, I think.
Yeah.
But like once with that punt, and then second time like he broke his arm or something. I don't know if you remember that, dude. He like folded a chair over
I remember
his
that,
arm.
dude. I remember that. I remember that.
Dude,
Legit,
dude, that was violent, man.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was really disturbing when he did that. But anyway. And then I remember like, but it was like it was clear like this guy can't beat Batista. He's always just like cheating and jumping him and attacking from behind and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Batista would like I remember Batista having like the storyline where he returned and then like would beat Randy for the title and stuff like that. Well, fast forward to like 2010, 1 year later, dude. Now they flipped, right? So they haven't been fighting or anything. They haven't had any interaction really.
Yeah.
Now Batista's a heel and Randy's a face, and Randy like beats him in a match, and I was just like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like who cares that one's getting cheered and the other's getting booed now? Like it doesn't matter. Like it's so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just dumb.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's like. It's almost like they expect the fans to have short-term memory. It's like they almost like they expect fans to be kids. It's like kids who they're making the shows for. No, no, but you're absolutely right, man. It's like come on, guys. Like come on, like have. But for WWE, it's like impossible, right? Because then it's like how then do you sell to the audience? Guys like Rey Mysterio or guys like Daniel Bryan being like the world heavyweight champion, and like beating like Big Show, or like beating guys like fucking Triple H or fucking Batista. Like it would be impossible,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, for sure.
And I was watching.
The thing is, it's not even just like the weight class, but for me, it was just like, how can Randy suddenly be able to like beat Batista like 1 year removed from when Batista was just whooping Randy's ass?
Yeah, and he had to hang up on him with 3 other guys.
Yeah, like it's not impossible, but it was just kind of weird. Like it just seemed like, oh, it's because the face has to get over with the fans,
Mhm.
whatever.
And the interesting thing is not about that, but just like about like the believability of this whole thing. I was like feeling nostalgic, and I was like, I want some Buyaka Buyaka 619 in my life. so I thought about it and I went after it, and I was watching some like Rey Mysterio like highlights, and what came from that for me was the realization that Rey Mysterio, if you are watching WWE and you ever had the semblance of like, they're not really timing the moves, like this is real, bro, like it's real, it's real, like if you ever had that, watch a Rey Mysterio fight,
And watch him do the 619.
exactly, just the 619. Like again, I was watching this and I was like, wait, you know, I was like, wait. The other guy has to just like wait for him. It's just too
On the
much.
rope.
It's too elaborate.
Yeah.
Like it's too
Oh,
elaborate,
dude.
man.
Oh, yeah, dude. The 619 is like the dumbest move
Yeah.
ever. Like I never bought it, dude. Like even as a kid. Like, dude, no one's gonna be that. Especially, dude. Think about it. They're fighting Rey Mysterio.
Mm.
Okay, so they're already not really getting clobbered. They're not gonna be that out of it to where they're like they don't even know they're like hung up on the second rope and Rey's about to do the 619.
Right. I've been seeing that some people in WWE right now just have other people's finishers. Like there's people doing pedigrees. Like I watched a match and it was like Seth Rollins and he like finished
Yeah,
like his finisher was the pedigree and I was like, wait, what? I was like that's the Triple H thing. And Triple H is not even retired. Like he's still there. Like
yeah.
he's still there. And there's
Because
people.
Triple H was like his mentor or something.
Uh,
That's why he did that. His
and now,
pedigree sucked, dude.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
So bad.
And then there's people
He
who do
didn't
like
do it
super
right at all.
kicks. They just don't call them, they don't call it submission music anymore. They're just like, oh, it's
Right.
just the super kick. And it's like, all right, like you can come up with some name for it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I think Dolph Ziggler was doing the super kick now, and
yeah,
um, yeah, dude, the 619 is so dumb though. Because what I was saying was like, like think about like they're fighting Rey Mysterio, dude. They're not gonna be that clobbered,
no,
that out of it. They're not getting clobbered anyway, so they're not gonna be that out of it to where
yeah.
they're hung up on the second rope. They don't even know, like, oh my god, I'm about to get 69. I mean, 69. Like, oh wait, no, that's the Undertaker's tombstone pile driver.
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Oh my god. You, dude, especially when you do like martial arts and stuff, and you watch like MMA, you realize how fucking fake WWE is. Like, it
Yeah.
really is. It's a cartoon, man.
It is a cartoon.
It's a cartoon with supervillains, dude. It's a super. It's like basically comic books, but in a
Yeah.
different format.
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoon, bro, and you just go with it.
Yep. Man, oh man,
But
what days those were, man. I was thinking to
oh,
myself
I
like,
still love it, dude.
really?
I still love it. I mean, I told you I went back in June. Me and this
Yeah.
buddy of mine went to AEW show.
But that's the thing. Like, I would love to go to a show. Like, I feel like that's the way that I can engage with the experience now. Because like I thought to
Yeah.
myself, I was like, could I? I was like, could I get into watching this weekly again? And
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, I can't do it.
Nah,
No.
I don't think I could. I feel like the storyline is too slow paced. Like it just develop like each storyline develops like an inch every week.
Yeah.
And it's just like damn, and you gotta wait each week. I don't know. It sounds kind of stupid coming out of my mouth, but that's how I felt like when I went to that AEW show.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even that familiar with most of the characters and none of the storylines really. But even then I realized like, oh shit, this storyline is just going like an inch. Because everyone, if we were back in one of those eras, like they were both really great. Like Attitude Era was great. I almost think there's a case for Ruthless Aggression actually being even better because the match quality was better,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a little more grounded and less cartoonish.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like the heyday of people like Edge and Cena and Undertaker.
Yeah.
Maybe if it were in one of those eras again, I might be able to watch it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the product really is just shitty now.
Yeah.
Like they shot themselves in the foot, dude, because they made it PG. They really watered it down, and then on top of that, they didn't invest enough time and energy into creating new stars. They just kept milking old stars.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where it's like, you have new stars, like you have Brock Lesnar, you have Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Sometimes it just feels like too little, too late.
But then the problem with Lesnar, from what I understand, is that he's just like a once in a while guy, right?
But yeah, he's basically like the Undertaker was like later in his career.
Yeah.
Not like toward the very end where he was just once a year.
Yeah, once
like,
a year, just WrestleMania. That's it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
even in like 2007, from what I understand, like Undertaker was still kind of a part timer. Like he wasn't, because you show someone too much and the audience gets kind of sick of them.
Yeah.
Um, so Undertaker, he's like that guy where he disappears for a couple weeks, but he's there fairly often. He just doesn't really wrestle. He doesn't wrestle any non pay per view matches. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, they pay that guy a fat check, man. They pay that guy a fat check only to wrestle every now and then.
Oh yeah, that guy, dude. That guy knows he's a freaking draw. But
Yeah.
I don't, dude. Honestly, I'm looking back on it because he's one that I keep up with. Because again, he's the modern day Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question about it. There's no doubt. The evidence is there. Like he took that. The Undertaker passed that torch to him.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember, I don't think he's had one non pay per view match.
Yeah.
Since he came back, which was in 2012.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think he had one. To be honest, I remember one time he had this one where he was about to fight Seth Rollins, and then like Seth Rollins chickened out, and then he like raged or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brock Lesnar raged.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But no, you're right about that, man. They just put themselves too heavily on the back of John Cena, and I'm just like repeating endlessly, like rivalries between him and fucking Randy Orton, and now they're like at this situation where Vince fucking stepped down from the company, and it's like hopefully that brings like new life to that company.
Yeah, seriously.
Because they're going back to being PG-13.
Are they?
Yeah.
It's about time. I mean, shit, dude. Like, dude, kids these days they're watching Marvel films. They're like that are somewhat violent. They're watching, dude, kids these days are watching all PG-13 is like 4 kids now.
Yeah, that's the new PG. Yeah,
it's like PG-7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not even PG-13.
Yeah.
It's about time, dude. One of my favorite videos on this topic is Kevin Nash. Who, if anyone listening doesn't know who that is, and for the record, if you don't know who that is, I don't know why you're even still listening to any of this.
But... Yeah, right. This is like old fucking wrestling talk.
But Kevin Nash, he has this interview where they're talking about the PG rating, and he brought up a great point. He's like, man, I went to pick up my kid at the bus stop one day,
Mhm.
and he said he said he said these kids are getting off the bus. These 7-year-old kids calling each other cocksuckers and like and like shitbag and shit like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, these are kids, and then they go watch WWE, and people are calling each other like doo doo heads, and like hornswoggles like coming out, and like this is like he was basically saying like know your audience, like you're
Yeah.
so out of touch, like
Yeah.
he was like the product's shit, like
Yeah.
like you're like coddling these kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was a great point. Like, dude, you think an 8 or a 9-year-old, dude, 8 to 9-year-olds did watch Edge as the rated R superstar, back in like '06 when it was still
Yeah,
PG-13.
because that
Like,
was us. That was us watching that fucking show. Like just kids.
yeah, yeah, dude. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That PG decision, whoever made that decision, I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
It suffered heavily for that.
Yep.
It really did. I don't know though. Who knows? It's all about the money. I mean, we don't know what behind the scenes, if that increased stock or increased some sort of revenue
It
or
must have done
merchandise.
something. It must have done something because like they wrote it for a while. I think at this point it's
Yeah,
probably just like plateaued and it's probably going down. They're just like, okay, we have to switch things around.
yeah. So when people like us or wrestlers are talking about these things, they're just talking about storyline, where we're not thinking of like the big picture and their business and stuff. Which
Yeah.
who gives a fuck? But then the answer to that question is, well, Vince.
Right. Yeah.
And he makes
Absolutely.
the decisions. So, well, he did.
But talking about all this stuff,
He did.
talking about drama, talking about all this multitude of things, do you want to touch on, for the final time in this podcast, a big spoiler warning? Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. Yeah, dude. We got into it a bit last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, we still have more to talk about. So yeah, man, I think, just to keep it kind of brief, like I thought it was a great ending. I thought it was how it should end for him.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today, and I was like watching a review on it and stuff, and it's how it had to end, man. It
Mhm.
really is, and yeah, I thought it was phenomenal too. Like the switch that they did, where I was like, man, this guy's just really really delving into this evil persona.
Yeah.
The guy's just gone, and then at the very end, because of his love for Kim and his desire to be that Jimmy McGill that man he once was,
Yeah.
decides, you know what, I need to, face what I've done. I need to face the music. That's the only way I can really become Jimmy McGill again.
Yeah.
Because he realized like he realized I can't scam these guys into giving me a 7-year sentence, but then also become Jimmy McGill. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yes.
You know? So, but yeah, I mean, what more is there to say, really?
Well, that's the thing, man. Because it's like you they presented us with this situation, and like you and I mean, obviously you and I talked about this last week, and it was that he got caught so quickly, and it was like, oh, he just got caught, and you talked about that. It was like, oh, this guy's not, he's not Jesse Pinkman, like he's just,
Yeah.
he's just like this slob,
Yeah.
so they just caught him immediately, like that lady, I forget what her name was,
Carol Burnett.
say what?
The actress. Well, that's the actress, Carol Burnett.
Yeah. Yeah,
Marion.
yeah, Marion. She was like, oh, it's Better Call Saul. This is his license plate, and I was like, dude, you're done. You got your license plate.
Yeah.
And they got him in the trash, and I was like, I saw on social media like a bunch of just like, visual reincorporations of the other times he was in the trash, and the other
Yeah.
times that these things happened, and shots that Vince Gilligan, did in Breaking Bad, and then how they showed up in episode 12 with with him and Kim, and then in this episode, like all these fucking callbacks.
Yeah.
But it was just fascinating to me that they just got him, and I told you that. I was like, I was not expecting that. Like even like the little like trailer of the last episode, like the teaser, like made it seem like he was gonna crash his car at some point, and it was gonna be like this big thing, and they played everybody, because then it was like, oh no, they got him, they got his ass.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that, like you said, this guy is like a super villain, you know, or like this soul persona is like a super villain, where it's like he got caught, but his power of just talking his way out of things made it to where it's like, oh, but he's gonna go to jail, and he's gonna go to a jail that he chose, this
Yeah.
specific jail in this specific room, and it's only gonna be 7 years, and he's even trying to force them to like have him have ice cream available.
Yeah.
And like when that was happening, I was just like, oh, this guy's just rotten. Like, I was like, why was I ever like in like like afraid on his behalf of him getting caught by the police
Yeah.
when it doesn't mean anything. But like you said, in order for this character not to flat out, right? In order for this arc not to go like from being an arc to just being like, like something
Yeah.
has to happen, like something has to push this guy, and obviously the law and him getting caught is not what's going to do it for him.
Right.
And in that, it was fascinating that it was like him, that it was Kim and what she did,
Yeah.
that made him like realize like there's like I want to be this man. And like you said, and in order for me to be this man, in order for me to be myself again, and not be Gene and not be Soul, I have to just come clean about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very, very. It paralleled Walter a little bit with
yeah,
how he saved. He ended up saving Jesse at the
mm-hmm.
end. Like that was just because end of Breaking Bad. Spoilers for that. But you probably should have already seen it if you're a Better Call Saul fan. But maybe not. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
But like Breaking Bad ended, um, I firmly believe like because he was in that Walter was in that clubhouse, right?
Yeah,
With Jack and his men, and he goaded Jack into uh saying, because he said, "Oh, you're partnered with Jesse. You're his partner." And he goaded Jack into getting Jesse and bringing him in.
mm-hmm.
And I firmly believe that like he was gonna have Jesse get wiped out too.
Yeah,
Like because Jesse was kind of a loose end. But then in that moment, he was just like, I can't do it. Like Jesse was like his son, basically,
mm-hmm.
had become like a son to him.
Yeah,
And he was just like, I can't. He was like, I can't do it. And like you sort of see that too with like so like these bad characters or these anti-heroes, they hold. I thought of it when Michael Mando, the guy who plays Nacho, was
mm-hmm.
talking about Nacho's arc and how he was like Nacho's a romantic, like he holds his dad as like this ideal,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think that's what happened with Walter and Jesse, where Walter was like, I hold Jesse as like this ideal, right, that I need to preserve.
Yeah,
And same with Jimmy with Kim. He was like, Kim is like this ideal, and like I want to honor that.
mm-hmm.
I want to like she is like moral. She's good. She was like Kim realized like Jimmy was the one who said we'll one day we'll wake up and brush our teeth and realize that we can forget. And Kim woke up, brushed her teeth, and realized that she can't.
Yeah,
You know, but Kim couldn't forget about Howard.
yeah,
She's just too good. Just too good of a person.
yeah,
Also, really enjoyed Marie Schrader.
yeah. I did too, man.
sharing a scene with Saul was
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Like again, even in the very last episode, it's like, oh shit, these two characters sharing a scene. Well, who would have thought? You know,
Yeah.
Marie Schrader sharing a scene with Saul.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
I think
Never
I
even
think
thought of it.
I think for me, like the big standout of the episode ultimately was like the Walt flashback. Because
But
like,
Walt is such an
because
asshole,
dude,
man.
that was my whole mind. I was like, this dude's an asshole, man. Like,
Mhm.
but he made me laugh because he said to him like, what? Speak up. When he said that to him, I was like, dude, you're an old man, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in both of the flashbacks with Mike and then with Walt were, I think what we were meant to glean from those scenes was because in both scenes Jimmy gave a really shallow answer to the question of, hey, if you had a time machine, like what would you change, like,
Hmm.
you know, what's your regret, blah blah. Both times he had a very shallow answer to that,
Hmm.
and I think what that was trying to convey to us was like both of these instances were him just leaning into this like Saul character, you know,
Yeah.
this Saul persona,
Yeah.
really just trying to destroy those bits of humanity in him, because those bits of humanity caused him pain.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's kind of what I was saying too with like the whole like people being like, why was Saul so adamant about going back to the cancer patient's house to steal his shit? You know, why was he so just let it go? And it was like, well, it was him just trying to destroy like any and all sympathy and empathy he had for others. You know,
Hmm.
destroy this the Jimmy side of him, because the Jimmy side of him feels pain. You know, the Jimmy side of him gets betrayed, like gets hurt.
Hmm.
You know, the Jimmy was betrayed by Chuck. He was betrayed by Kim. You know,
Yeah.
um, that was my take on that.
No, man,
I still,
you're absolutely right.
I need, I need to rewatch the episode. I need to rewatch the whole season.
Hmm.
Honestly, but 'cause I think it was one of the greatest seasons of television of all time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
But
Like there was like a post, somebody just saying like which one, like they were just like, which is your favorite Better Call Saul season? And I was like, the last one. Like the last one is the best one. You know,
oh my god, fucking amazing,
like the
dude!
last
That
one elevated this show so predominantly, like to the point that people are just like, it's the same. You know, like it's equally, if not better than, you know, Breaking Bad, and
yeah,
it accomplished for that to be like an actual arguable point just within this one season.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and um, for me, like I need to rewatch personally. I need to rewatch the Chuck flashback because I wasn't entirely sure what we were supposed to glean from that
Hmm.
flashback.
Yeah.
Maybe something similar. Like I think there were like shades of Saul coming out in that scene, but I don't remember. I need to rewatch it. Did you have anything on that scene? Because
That
I'm
that
still
that's
sorting it.
dude.
I'm still sorting it out.
Same thing for me. Like same thing for me. When that scene came on, I was like, what was the thing? You know, because Chuck was reading that book, The Time Machine,
Yeah,
and then there are multiple times in this season, and I think throughout the show maybe, where because I saw a lot of screenshots, I saw a lot of people like you know, I saw a lot of these things of it
yeah,
being like, oh, in this episode he had that book, and in this episode he had that book. So that book was like a permanent, like the book was like a big thing, you know. Um, and I guess it only made sense like now, ultimately, with that whole like you know, if you had a time machine thing. Um, but I don't know. Like I really couldn't get it because I was like, okay, seemingly he's reading this book and he has this book probably like as a memento of Chuck, because Chuck was the one who in the book belonged to, you know.
yeah.
So I just like kind of associated that with that, and just like with regret and just being like, oh, you know, this whole time machine thing was always about.
Literally, like when Lalo died, they didn't even hit the brakes. Like, they literally pulled the fucking handbrake. Like, they pulled the parking brake.
Yeah, they really
Like,
did.
we were on the highway. It's like that scene in Anger Management where Jack Nicholson, they're on the highway and Jack Nicholson yanks the parking brake.
Yeah.
Like, Adam Sandler's like, I feel a little flustered, all
Yeah.
right? And Jack Nicholson's like, flustered. He just pulls the fucking parking brake and they're like,
Yeah.
like that's how it felt when they killed off Lalo. It was like, oh my god, this show's like so quiet now.
Yeah.
But I love it. Like looking back on it, especially that last episode. I love, dude. I love how just quiet and contemplative. Like if someone was like one word to describe the last episode, contemplative.
Mhm.
That's the one word, dude. I wouldn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
Contemplative. Like it
Yeah.
was just, talking about time machines and like regrets and
Mhm.
remorse and just oh man.
You know what Better Call Saul is, man?
What?
An existentialist show.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. It's existentialist. Like if obviously the show is too long to be like part of like some kind of existential cinema class, but you could probably dedicate like a whole class just to that show. But it's an
Yeah.
existential show, like through and through. Like all of the makings of existentialism and existentialist cinema, they're there.
Yeah.
They're there. Like super objectives, regret, contemplation. Like all of those things are there, and ultimately one of the biggest like signs of existentialism is that the main character has to end the story alone.
Yeah.
It's all there. This is an existentialist piece, like through and through.
All there.
Yeah,
All
it's all there, man. It's all there.
there, man.
Yeah.
Well,
No, like you said, very contemplative.
did you have anything else you wanted to say on Saul?
Pretty cool that the cigarettes, the cigarettes were like the cigarette light was like in color while everything else was like black and white.
Oh, was it? I didn't even notice that.
No, I appreciated that. I was like, fuck yeah, man. It's like they were like, let's actually add this detail. Everything's in black and white, but let's make the light red. Like they're actually smoking.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet, man.
Well, that's cool because that's like him bringing color to his life again.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was sweet. And then spoilers for within this episode, spoilers for Cowboy Bebop. He ends the same way that Cowboy Bebop does, man. He shoots up some bang bangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't die.
Yeah.
Since we still got to talk about our film, I'm gonna go through real quick what I watched over these past couple weeks while we were off. I watched Prey,
How was that?
new Predator movie.
Yeah, I'm excited. I wanna watch that.
It's damn good, dude. Damn good. Not as good as the original, but probably the best Predator film since the original. I don't know. Definitely the best Predator film since the original.
Have you seen Predators?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't like it.
Yeah.
I saw Predator 2 a long time ago. I always thought the urban setting was kind of dumb. Alien versus Predator is like, it's alright.
Yeah.
I haven't even bothered with the sequel to Alien versus Predator. I heard that was horrendous.
Yeah.
I have not seen The Predator and don't want to. I've heard it's awful. But Prey, really good, man. Really, really good. Really solid solid character arc in there. Female character, but they lean heavily into the classic feminism of like those like 80s films with like Sarah Connor and Ripley. It feels like that, where it's like she actually struggles, Not her the whole time just pooing the men and being perfect at everything. It's actually the opposite. Like she gets shit on the whole movie, but is triumphant. And I won't spoil anything, but you can kind of get where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Anything and it wouldn't be spoilers. It's a Predator movie,
Yeah, I can imagine it. Yeah, I can imagine the beats.
But great, man. Really enjoyed it. I also watched The Black Phone.
With Ethan Hawke, right? That movie by the director of Sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, man? Everybody's like just gushing over this film. I thought it was okay.
Mm.
I thought it was pretty good. Nothing to like write home about.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very, very overrated right now. I
Yeah.
really do. I
Yeah.
think it was good. I think it was a decent horror film, but it's not like there's horror films and suspense films that have come out over the past few years where I'm like, yes, that was awesome. Like when Don't Breathe came out, I was like, fuck yeah, that movie was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Or Hereditary, yes. And
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way when this one came out. Did not. I gave it like a 6 out of 10.
All right. I still want to check it out. I want to check out both those movies you mentioned.
It's pretty good. It's not terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I gave it a 6. So
Yeah.
just the only reason I'm giving it a little more grief is that it's being very like overrated right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, mm, we watched Mission Impossible Fallout. That was a rewatch for me.
Ah, nice. Yeah.
I mean, that's the best one.
Yeah. I mean,
I think.
you know my Mission Impossible Fallout story. I think I already mentioned it. There's many times of Mission Impossible Fallout, but I need to.
I think you mentioned that like a couple episodes
Yeah,
ago.
I need to rewatch that movie. Absolutely, I need to rewatch that
Without
movie just to get the
farts being
stink out of
blown
it.
on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, without farts being blown on you.
Yeah.
By the way, audience, it wasn't me who was blowing the farts on him during that movie.
No, you were like perfectly far away for that not to be like something that hindered your experience.
Yeah, because I think they were like out of seats in that one row. We were at school. They were screening it at school. It's
Yeah.
not like we paid to go see it. So I just sat in the row like in front of you, I think, and I didn't get the stink that
Yeah,
our
no.
buddy was
No,
blowing.
you avoided all that.
The most recent movie I watched was the other day. I watched School of Rock, also by Richard Linklater.
Hey,
So
very cool.
two Linklater movies in a row.
Yeah.
So yeah. Really no. I have not been listening to much music lately. Besides just, I don't know, dude. I've driving around in my car listening, bumping rap music, but really just listening to the same stuff. I've been very, just not, man. Just haven't been listening to like new music lately.
Yeah. Well, you and I then have been on the opposite ends of things.
So you haven't been watching a lot of movies.
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any movies. Any movies. Not anything. Not anything that I can recall. But I've been listening. I've been listening to a lot of albums. I mean, are you ready for me to mention them?
Into them.
Say what?
Fire them off.
All right. I listened to a post-punk album by a band called Fontaines DC. They're like an English band, and specifically, I listened to the album called "A Hero's Death." So anybody who's into post-punk, this was a great album. Like, dude, I had so much fun listening to this album. Great, 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 great. If you want to listen to if you want to listen to a great song off of that album and see if you vibe with it, listen to the self-title. Like, listen to the song titled after the album. Listen to the song "A Hero's Death." Great album. I found out about it. I found out about them from a YouTuber called Deep Cuts, and he like recommended them. And funnily enough, like I was like curious. I was like, let me see what let's see what Mr. Fantano thought about this album that I thought was great. And he gave this album like a 4 out of 10, dude. 4 out of 10. And I was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, get the fuck out of here. And everybody in the comment section was like,
tastes don't jive with his.
Say what?
Tastes just don't jive with Fantano's.
And everybody in the comment section was like, like, bro, you fucked this one up. Like, no, this is not a 4 out of 10 album, and it's not. It's legit. It's cool, fast paced, aggressive, and a lot of the times very melancholy and downbeat post punk. Great shit. And then I listened to a more more on the screamo, like new metal side of things, a band called Foxtails, and their album Fawn from 2022. It has a great little like cover of like this like field and this like little like animal just like like in the middle of it, just like curled up. And sadly, I did not like the Foxtails album. Like, dude, I went into this album just wanting to love it. Just wanting to love it. I love screamo. Um, and this was like a female-led band, and I was like, I really want this to like work, and it didn't work for me. And sadly, this is like an album that is like universally like loved, and I just couldn't. It just didn't work for me. I didn't. It just never came together. It would come together like for 1 minute within a song, and then it would just like unfold. Like I just couldn't get into it.
I hate that, dude. I hate when you hear like something you love in a song,
Yeah.
ruin it.
Yep.
I feel like Travis Scott does that a lot to me lately.
Travis.
I'm like, where I'll be listening to a song by him, right? And I'm like, ooh, I really like this. And then the song will like change like 30 seconds in to a different beat or something, and I'm just like, ah, fuck you, man.
Yeah. But other than that, I re-listened stuff. So you and I were on the same page. I re-listened to the entirety of Mr. Frankie Ocean's discography. One of the artists with like one of the greatest discographies ever. And just like so much growth from album to album to album to album, just insane amount of just like growth. I listened to the mixtape album that he released called Channel Orange, which is just like him singing and making like songs out of other people's instrumentals. Great, great, great stuff. And then not Channel Orange, Nostalgia Ultra, I meant. And then I listened to Channel Orange, which was his first, his debut album. And I realized that Channel Orange is just Nostalgia Ultra, but if he had made the music himself. You know what I mean? Like if instead of being a mixtape, he had made it, it's the same thing. It's like the same concept. Because Nostalgia Ultra rather has like this like flow to it that it's like this like video gamey like mixtapey experience. And the same thing is true with Channel Orange. It starts with like the boot up sound of like a PlayStation 1. Like that like that. It starts like that. So then it carries that all through the record, just like this nostalgic, like, it's called fucking Channel Orange, and it's like, following an album called Nostalgia Ultra, it's very nostalgic R&B and like revivalism. Listen to Blonde, 10 out of 10 album, you know, avant-garde R&B, amazing. And then I followed that up with his iTunes, like Apple Music exclusive, only on video because it's not released as an actual album, Endless. So I listened to Endless like last. And Endless is my favorite Frank Ocean album. Another 10 out of 10 album, more amazing, just R&B art. Like that dude's just the best. That dude's the best. And that's it. That's all I've listened to. So people, if you want to listen to some fucking Frank Ocean, go listen to him. He's the best. The music's out there. Next up for me is Freddie Gibbs. I've re-listened to a couple of his albums. I listened to Babyface Killer, which is fucking great. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. There's only like, the album is like what, 20 tracks long? Yeah, it's 18 tracks long, and there's only like 4 songs that I'm like, that's a miss. You missed that one, Mr. Gibbs. Everything else is like a fucking banger.
What are your favorites off that one? Because for me, my top 3: Walk In With the MO.
Yes.
Tell a Friend. Currency.
Yeah, that's a great song, and I was like, oh shit, that's Currency.
Yeah, and then Bout It, of course.
No, for me it's the same thing. For me it's Walking with the MO, Bout It, same as you. If I, I'm not gonna add the Currency song, but I thought that was a great song. for me, the song Breaking Bad is awesome. Like the song number 17, Breaking Bad. And then the last song of the album, Fuck Them, and I'm gonna not say that, even though I could, but I'm not. Um, so those four songs. So basically, Walking with Yemo, About It, Breaking Bad, and then Fuck Them. Those four songs, amazing. Like I remember, cause like the album kind of goes into a slump when it comes to 17. The song before 17, like those two songs, I was kind of like, like they're good songs, but they're not like songs that I really want to come back to. And then fucking Breaking Bad comes in, and I was like, fuck yeah. And then he ends the album with Fuck Them, and I was like, you motherfucker,
Yeah.
So
Crazy featuring Jadakiss is pretty good.
that's pretty good, yeah. Still Living is pretty good. BFK is pretty good. The Hard's pretty good. Kush Cloud's pretty good.
Is it Still Living in GTA 5?
I think so. Might be.
It's like still living.
It might be. But he goes on a run, man. He goes on a run. Like all those songs are great songs.
Yeah, I just played it. Yeah, that is in GTA.
Yeah. So I listened to that, and I listened to Shadow of a Doubt, which is more misses than hits. Like if I was gonna give Babyface Kill an 8 out of 10, I would give Shadow of a Doubt like a 5. There's there's like a handful of good songs in there, and there's just a lot of just like what are you doing? Mr. Gibbs, what are you doing? This is not you. This is not you, Mr. Gibbs. So I listened to those two, and I haven't listened to anything else yet. I listened to Alfredo, but I've already listened to Alfredo before. I've already listened to Pinata Bandada and Alfredo, all albums which I think are all either 10s or 9s.
Fetty's great. Fetty's fantastic.
Yeah, so I have to go into Fetty, and then I have to go into everything else. But I'll talk about.
Well, Fetty's a joint album too with
with Currency. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Actually, no. I listened to that. I listened to that when I was in the Seas, and that's when we talked about the line with Djokovic. No, that's a great album. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was an 8 out of 10. Like great album for me. But yeah, that's all I got. Say what?
Song on his album "You Only Live Twice" called "20 Karat Jesus." That's a pretty good song.
Yeah, You Only Live Twice. Yeah, I have it in here. That's the very first song, 20 Karat Jesus.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah. So by the time that we do the next week's podcast, I'll have a better lowdown on the whole discography.
Yeah. I wanted to say something nice about Frank Ocean too. Favorite Tyler the Creator album to this day is Wolf.
Yeah.
And this was this sort of transition period between like where his musical style now and then his older stuff. It was like a really just sweet spot album so much. And Frank Ocean, I think, is on all but like 2 of the songs on that album.
Oh, interesting.
3, maybe.
I didn't know that.
Featured on almost every single song.
I can't wait to get to that album, man. I can't wait to get to the tease. It'll probably be next year, but I'm excited for it.
Oh, it's so good, man. I can't wait till you listen to Wolf all the way through.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's favorite albums like of all time. It's so underrated. Tyler the Creator shat on it, like on Sway's show.
I remember that.
He was like, the album's not good, and I'm like, dude, fuck out of here. You don't know like the genius you created.
Yeah.
Genius work of art. Speaking of genius works of art, let's get into our film.
Yeah, let's get into the movie, man. The movie for the week is Waking Life from 2001. Anybody who listened to last week's episode knows this week's episode. But it's directed and written by the man, the myth, the legend, Richard Linklater. What do you think, man?
Enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
Honest with you, I liked it a lot better than what was that other one that we watched? Bottle Rocket? Slacker?
Yeah.
Oh, Bottle Rocket was the Wes Anderson one.
Yes.
That's right. Slacker. So you and I think both did not really enjoy Slacker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I enjoyed this film. I thought it was a much better format to convey like philosophical ideas because it's
Yeah.
literally takes place in the dream world.
Yeah.
I remember watching some of Scanners Darkly, and I don't know. I might like that movie, but the bits I saw, I was like, I can't stand this film, this
Yeah.
rotoscoping
They
shit.
both feature Alex Jones.
Yeah, yeah, but what's with that? And the thing is, though, with this movie, it works really well. First of all, the rotoscoping is far more interesting, from
Oh
what I
yes.
recall,
Yeah.
because it's a little less like on the dot, so it doesn't. You can't fully tell that it's like at all times that it's rotoscoped.
Yeah.
It does look like actual animation,
Yeah.
and works here really well because um, it's the it's the whole place takes or the whole movie takes place in dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and what's great about that is your dreams sort of look that way. Like when you think about your dreams, like it is sort of like this cartoonish. It's not fully animated, but it almost is like this rotoscoped world.
Yeah.
You're almost like not. Your mind is really filling in blanks in the dreams. Like
Mm-hmm.
the environment is not fully coded. If we're using a video game analogy, like the dreams are glitchy.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the animation worked like really well.
Yeah.
Um, but first, I took a lot of notes on this. I'll give you the floor as well. But I just want to say one thing. Like right from the opening scene, I was pretty hooked when they were playing with that. I don't know what you call that, where you fold it a bunch of times. That piece of paper.
Yeah. It's like I don't know what you call that either. It's like this like
Like a
thing.
cone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you flip it, and there's like four parts.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood that.
Yeah.
But understands it. So, what's that say about me?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but and then they get to this dream is destiny, and I thought that was really interesting. Because if you look at like dreams, like I'm someone who's really like we were talking about science earlier. I'm very much into psychology and Jungian psychology, archetypes and stuff like that. And there's a lot of truth, I think, to that phrase "dream is destiny" because dreams are giving you like clues. Like it's your subconscious coming for a bit, or rather, you. I actually like to think of it more as like when you go to sleep, you're swimming down into the subconscious and all this information that's stored up in your brain that you're just not paying attention to, dreams you have access to it
Yeah.
collectively. It's not like you can just access whatever you want. It's like someone puts you in a library blindfolded, only grab like what you're lucky enough to get. Right? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Right? The dream realm is like this giant library, and you're in it blindfolded. And you just have to reach out and grab a book.
Yes.
But and whatever you grabbed is what you get, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's useful information in that book.
Yeah.
You just can't be as selective. People can be, and that's what's called lucid dreaming, which is what's touched on in this film.
Yes.
So, like I keep dream journals. I take note of every dream that I have and sort it out.
Yeah. Same here. I tried to at the very least.
Um, and you start to notice too, like I'm someone who has recurring dreams, and when I have recurring dreams, I start to notice when these recurring dreams change a bit. Change and not small details, but large details change. That's when you really want to pay attention, I think, because that's telling you something's changed between when you start in the waking world, when you start having that dream and now. you want to look out for.
Yeah.
That's why I found that line really powerful. Dream is destiny.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, man, I came into this movie like you, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? I knew where the movie was coming from, right? Like, I was like, okay, I know this is Linklater. I know it's 2001, and I knew that it was rotoscoping, right? But I was just, I was like astonished because initially I thought that it was just gonna be like, okay, this is just rotoscoped, like that's it. They just painted over everything. But it was interesting because I came off of it with the exact same impression that you did. That was like, oh, this is Slacker. I was like, he just like wanted to remake Slacker, and like you and I talked about in that podcast, he I think he like because this is like 10 years later. Like this is like a movie 10 years removed from Slacker, and I think he just realized like, oh, the movie was flawed in the sense that there's no reason, there's no rhyme or reason. There's just a movie going shifting from person to person to person, and people just having these philosophical conversations, and that's it. And then the movie ends. And then there's people who may watch that movie who may come out of it and be like, oh, 10 out of 10, would watch it again. And then there's people who like us who are just like, I don't know, that failed. There was a failure at what he was like. He felt he was trying to do. It was boring in a lot of ways, and it wasn't interesting in a lot of other ways, and it was just absurdly like one note in other ways. But I feel like with this movie, he was like, "Fuck, I just want to make Slacker again." But I know that Slacker in and of itself could have been better. And I think what he tried to do with this movie was just like, okay, let's make the same movie with people having philosophical conversations about a lot of different things, but this time I'm just gonna center in on this one topic, right? And the fact the movie is gonna be animated and that they can be having conversations and the animation can then like create things in the background, or like if somebody mentions water, then the animation can be like they're underwater. Like the animation then will make this movie in itself more visually interesting than just watching two people talk.
Yep.
And just like this
Like
crazy
when
fluidity of it.
When the Alex Jones character's talking too,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
as he gets angrier, he gets redder.
He gets redder. Yeah, he goes from like pink to like purple, and then to like bright, bright, bright red.
Yeah.
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 So it was clever, man. There were points in which the animation didn't work for me, like, and by that I mean that it just made me like nauseous. Like there were points in which I was like, the fact that the background's like going like this and everything's like so gelatinous is kind of making me like dizzy. So there were
Yeah.
parts where it just didn't work, and then there were parts like when he was talking to that like professor, and the guy kept going like this, like forward and backwards, and he just kept like kind of like his body just kept being this like thing that changes shapes. In those instances, then he was like awesome.
Scene too, because he was talking about evolution and
Yeah.
stuff, which is a fascinating concept. You know what I noticed too? The whole idea of like telescopic evolution, that was interesting to me. What I found interesting in that scene too, I think this was definitely done on purpose, is the background. There's a fish tank, and there's
Hmm.
like fish coming in and out of frame, talking. It's funny because they're like sort of looking at the camera too. Um, and for those who science geeks out there might like this, but like because all vertebrate animals, all vertebrate organisms, that is animals with a spine, a backbone, um, are descended from fish, which I found just like a nice little detail
Hmm.
uh, in that scene, as he's talking about evolution, because those are our earliest ancestors, pretty much are fish.
Yeah.
Um, Hundreds of millions of years ago. So as he's talking about evolution, you see those fish kind of in the background, and I was like, ah, it's kind of clever.
Yeah.
Another little detail.
Yeah.
You know what really? There were so many scenes in this movie that just the dialogue was just mind blowing to me. Like he was really just his thoughts in his stream of consciousness in this film were brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like another standout for me was the before sunrise scene, the cameo. Those two characters were laying in bed talking, talking about like observing life from the perspective of an old person about to die, and they're like, what if what I'm living is just me looking back on those memories,
Yeah.
And I've thought of that before in like a different way, where like further back in life, your memories are really, really fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have memories from when I was like maybe 2 or 3 years old. Like I have a really I have a pretty damn good memory.
Yeah.
I have these like they're just tiny chunks, these little bits, and just these tiny like fragmented memories. And I look back on them, and I have this feeling of like I feel like I almost never lived them. Almost feel like those memories are just me remembering those memories.
Yeah.
I don't even have the actual memory. Remembering me remembering.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain, but it's so weird.
Yeah. And that was the fascinating thing too, because to me, far and above, like the most interesting conversation in the movie was the very last one. Like that was like, because like a lot of say what? Because like a lot of these things, a lot of like there was like a lot of scenes in the movie where it was kind of coming in and out, and I was like, all right, I was like, all right, I get it, all right, all right, like I've had these thoughts, like all right, and but the very last one really captivated me because it was like about how Philip K. Dick, I think it was, had like written this book that then in his real life went on to like manifest itself, right? And I was like, oh man, that's fucking fascinating. Like just that idea. Like where he was just like rambling about that shit. And then about how he then had like that dream, Richard Linklater's character. And I was like, man, that's just fucking fascinating. That was like the time in the film that I was like, I'm fascinated. Um and it's interesting because by that point in the movie there's like still like 15 minutes and then like just went. Like I remember the movie ended and I was like, wait, what? I was like in this, I was like in this, just like drawn. Because again, like the movie was a little bit hit or miss for me, where like when the before sunrise scene came in, I was like, fuck yeah, and I was like drawn in. And then when a different scene would come in, then I would kind of be like a little bit taken aback and be like, all right, I'm listening, but I'm hearing more than I'm listening at this point.
Exactly. Something I found really interesting in that before sunrise scene was they're talking about like basically like I don't think they used this word, but the zeitgeist and the well, really not even the zeitgeist, but more of this collective consciousness.
Oh yeah, and you and I have talked about that before. Just like that was fascinating.
Yeah, you and I talk about. I feel like you and I talk about that all the time, and
Yeah.
and what's interesting about that scene is again in psychology with archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
We all have like the way our brains are, from what I understand, is like we all have the same like, hardware or wetware, if you like.
Yeah.
Technically, what it is. Um, and so we're all like MacBooks basically, but each MacBook might have different, like my MacBook's gonna look different than yours. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yours probably has like a lot of like any porn on it or whatever, whereas
Yeah.
like mine has that. No, I was like mine has like normal shit like Google Chrome and
Right.
like YouTube on it and stuff.
Right.
But interesting about that is like scene they're talking about collective unconsciousness and how like oh shit it's like out there and now it's available and you can just grab it
Mm-hmm.
because for some reason I thought of dragons was saying that
Yeah.
and that sounds weird, but I'm going to explain it. Are an archetype that different cultures have invented independently of each other.
Yes.
Europeans who like invented like the idea of like fire breathing dragons that guard towers and stuff. But then you had the ancient Chinese who had invented dragons as well. Not and then like people from biblical times had their own dragons and their own. The Romans had dragon paintings,
Yeah.
and all these different cultures had dragons, and they had no contact with each other. Some of them did, but some invented dragons completely independently of one another.
Yeah.
Because these archetypes it's because the dragon, the only conclusion that I can come to, that it's not so much about the scaly beast itself, but it's an archetype. It's a symbol for something.
Yes.
There's actually different dragon archetypes. So like the Chinese dragon is completely different. They don't breathe fire even, I don't think. They're like these long serpentine creatures that are benevolent and wise, and it just made me think of that, like all of these archetypes manifest themselves. That's why all these different religions too have similar ideas, like that never came into contact. Like all these different religions have like the dying god idea, or
Yeah.
the death and resurrection, the flood myth, and a lot of them cross pollinated. Like obviously, like Bible writers got certain ideas from like ancient Egypt or Samaria, but ideas think it's not so much that they're out there, but they're in here.
Yeah.
They're symbols for our brain, and different people will come up with the same to describe the same idea.
Yeah.
I found that very interesting.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And it's funny because like when he was talking about that, I thought of like what the most recent like example of that was for me, and it was that Drake released a dance album. He released that like Honestly Nevermind album, and instantly when he released that album, Beyonce was like, "I'm releasing a dance album." So then she released a dance album, and then the next thing that came out was like, "Oh, Frank Ocean is releasing a dance album, maybe," because Frank Ocean doesn't release anything. So then immediately I was like, "Oh, these three creative people, all in their own space, at some point thought to themselves over the past year, I'm gonna make a dance album," and they made it, and two of them came out within a month of one another. And I was like, there it is. There's like this thing, like that people, like certain people have access to the same idea at the same time, and then they like do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird how that stuff works.
It's very strange. But again, like the highlights of the movie were that conversation between them. The conversation, like when he goes to the movie theater and he just watches those two guys talk, and that one guy is like, let's have a human moment. And they have like a human moment. They're just like quiet, looking at each other, and that guy starts tearing up because he was talking about like he was gonna start crying. And then they start laughing, and I was like, oh, that's dope. That's like dope. That's dope. And
Yeah.
like I said, the Linklater like story at the end, and then the thing with the guy talking about how this guy was like running at him like on drugs or something, and now he like shot him. And he's like, so I shot him in the chest, and he just like fell over, and he got right back up, and I shot him multiple times. And then he takes out the gun, and he's just like, man, I haven't shot this in a while. And the other guy goes like, why don't you go ahead and shoot it? And then he shoots him. I was like, this is bizarre.
Scene was very bizarre.
Yeah.
Again, very dreamlike. Like
Yeah.
it was really good.
No, very dreamlike, very good.
I liked how a lot of the scenes too did not feature the protagonist, which like I've had a lot of dreams where I'm not even featured in the dreams.
Yeah.
Just about other people.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
And I guess at the end, the movie really just became like this, like being like he was like almost like he was like in a coma or something because he couldn't get up, he couldn't wake up again.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I actually had a different interpretation of that because, and this actually segues perfectly because I was about to say one of the lines that really blew my damn mind um, was guy with the guitar. He was saying like, it's almost like the trick to life is like combining
Yeah.
waking rational abilities with the infinite possibility of your dreams.
Yes.
And he was talking about like how we're so limited in life, and I think he was even talking about like I don't know if I'm going crazy, but was he talking about slave morality too, or
I
am I?
don't remember that. I don't clearly remember that. I do remember him saying that, like the trick is to combine your waking rational abilities with the infinite possibilities of your dreams, but I don't remember the other half.
That was my interpretation of the ending when he wakes up. I think he was waking up for real, and then he
Hmm.
floats off into the sky, and it was sort of like symbolic of that idea,
Yeah.
like bringing like the infinite possibility of your dreams to the real world.
I think there's something to that because like when the movie ended,
Right?
I because when the movie ended, I thought that it could be that. I was like, oh, it could be that, and I thought that it could be also that like he really did get hit by a car, and that he's just like in this like coma and he's just like unable to wake up and he just keeps waking up into this dream world.
Oh, does he mention that at one point in the movie?
Yeah, because he mentions it. He says it to Linklater at the end of the movie. He says like, you were in the car with that boatman and you guys dropped me off and I got hit by a car, but I didn't get hit by any car because it was actually a dream. And I was like, you actually might have been hit by a car because you're unable to wake up.
It's true. I did like that too. That scene where he was like, "Yeah, you were driving me in a boat
Yeah.
car," and that guy was like, "I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about."
he's like, I
And
don't
it's
know what
sort of
you're talking about, bro.
yeah, because it is like that. And what's interesting is that actually. So I swear I wish I knew more about dream science because I bet that would make this movie even more interesting.
Yeah,
But I did pick this up. Did you know that the human mind actually cannot create a face?
I knew that. Yes,
So in our dreams, everyone we see, even if you see someone in your dreams
you
who's
had
just a
seen them
random
at some point before. Yeah,
their face at some point,
yeah.
your brain is taking that from your subconscious and putting it in
Yeah,
front of you.
no, I knew that, and like it's also happened to me where I've been in my awake life and I've remembered something that happened that was actually a dream, but that I thought was like real. Um,
Yeah.
and as you know, because there's a big story about it that I've told you guys multiple times. I haven't told it in this podcast. I won't for now. Maybe I will later. But the story of like the nightmare that I had about fucking watching Venom and how I kept waking up again and again and again and
Oh,
again in my nightmare, like just
yeah.
endlessly waking up again.
That was all. That
That
sounded
was
awful,
that
bro.
was savage. I remember when I woke up from that, dude. I woke up like sweating. I had never woken up in my life like that, like just full on sweating and having a panic attack. And I remember I came out and just like talked to you guys. I was like, bro, you wouldn't believe what just happened to me.
Yeah, man, I remember that.
Yeah, that was too much, man. I didn't like that at all, man. So
Damn.
watching
I
this
wonder what
movie and then
caused you to have such a bad nightmare during a nap like that.
but watching this movie and watching him like waking up again and then waking up again and then waking up again. I was like having like PTSD. I was like, I don't want to relive this, these like memories of like not being able to wake up from your own dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought this was a great movie,
I thought
honestly.
I thought it was good. What would you rate this?
I give Waking Life an 8 out of 10.
I give Waking Life 7.
Okay.
It was a little bit hit or miss for me, and again. Like I would have a little bit of a tough time like sitting down and wanting to rewatch this again because it did make me dizzy.
Yeah.
Like it did make me like dizzy, and I was like, I'm having a tough time like looking at this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me as someone as a student of just archetypal spirituality and Jungian psychology,
Hmm.
I think that's what elevated this movie from me to an 8 was just my fascination with
Yeah.
those topics.
Yeah.
Which yeah, obviously you have like an appreciation for those topics as well. I
Oh
think,
yeah,
but
absolutely, yeah,
um, yeah, just as some, I don't know. I find that stuff particularly interesting.
yeah,
Um, Archetypes, gods, demons.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know.
yeah.
Awesome. Speaking of dreams, I also started the Netflix Sandman
Oh yeah, the
series.
Sandman. Yeah, how's that going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I watched the first couple episodes. Good adaptation so far. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I want to give it a shot. I want to give it a shot. I have a tough time with as you know, I have a tough time with TV shows in general. So, but I want to give this one a shot and see if I can vibe with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought you'd like the comic book series
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Yeah, I always wanted to get into that comic book series.
It's so imaginative. It's one of the most imaginative things I've ever seen
Yeah,
or read or it really it's this complete just sandbox world that
hmm
Neil Gaiman created that
yeah,
it absolutely incredible. Just it appears so limitless, and yet he establishes, being a great writer, he does establish rules and stuff, and
hmm
through the magic, uh, yeah, fantastic.
yeah. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Um, that being said, I don't have next week's film picked out yet.
All
Sorry to
right.
disappoint.
No, I mean it's all good for me. As long as you send it to me, and before like probably I mean before Thursday, then I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Sounds good.
All right.
Anything else you wanted to say
Let
on
me
the
drop.
podcast?
Say what?
Go ahead.
Let me drop some tiny trivia and a couple of reviews, and for me that movie that's it. I really don't have much else to add. It's been a beautiful movie, great work. Some hit or misses, and that's it.
Sure.
But some trivia. They shot this movie in 3 weeks, and they edited the movie in 3 weeks, but it took 15 months to animate it.
Yeah, yeah.
This was the first digitally rotoscoped animated feature film. So this, he was breaking some boundaries here. It says the film was based on real reports of LSD trips.
Huh.
It's on,
Very.
yeah, I mean, it's very fascinating. It's on Roger Ebert's great movies list.
Uh-huh.
And there's a couple of times in the movie where people are wearing shirts of the movie Slacker. And the movie references the movie Slacker a couple of times. So it references Slacker and it references Before Sunrise.
Wow. Interesting.
And that's it. As per reviews, these are two positive reviews. The two 5 out of 2 10 out of 10 reviews. One is I kind of want to give this 5 stars for how good of a watch this was, but on the other hand, it is just NPC dialogue for an hour and 40 minutes.
That's pretty true.
That's pretty
Like
good.
if you were in some weird like intellectual game,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Then the other one
That's great.
is gonna flip like every light switch I see from now on. which dude,
Yeah.
well watching the movie I was looking at the fucking switch and I was like, let me go flip those fucking switches, man.
Is that true? You can't change the lighting in your
I
dream?
have no idea. I have no idea.
I gotta look that up now.
Yeah.
One thing, okay, one thing before we cap this off, what I do want to say is this. Very interesting. This movie actually, despite it just being a cameo from those two characters in Before Sunrise, I think this movie actually is, at least that scene is mandatory viewing for any fan of the Before series.
I agree. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is why that scene gives to me new insight into their characters,
Mhm.
and it's this. I think because, as we know from watching Before Midnight, that relationship does not work out so well.
Mhm.
They do have sort of a bittersweet ending, and they get back together. But the relationship was not going that well in Before Midnight, in
Mhm.
my opinion. I don't think.
Mhm.
Um, again, the idea of it was like, oh, it's complicated, it's love, and it's like, yeah, but this is pretty miserable. Like
Right.
that, I remember thinking that. I mean, dude, probably cheated on her, to be honest.
Right.
Um, and I remember when I was watching this scene in this movie, I started to see seeds of that relationship like failure.
Right.
Because I noticed that when they were talking about these ideas with each other,
Mm-hmm.
they were sort of talking past each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you got that sense, but they were like both so adamant about their own take on these ideas that they were talking about.
Yeah.
They were like sort of uninterested in what the other had to say about it. They were adamant about like getting their own sort of point across,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like um what's Ethan Hawke's character's name?
Jesse.
Elliot? Oh, Jesse.
Yeah.
Um especially with Jesse, like I feel like Jesse kept trying to like sort of one up Celine.
Yeah.
Like he sort of kept, almost feel like he kept trying to like one up her and be like, okay, well this is my take on that, and this is like what I have to say about that, and she
Yeah.
almost seemed like annoyed by it.
Right.
I don't know if I'm reading into it, but that was my take.
I don't know. I didn't get that impression too much from it. I could rewatch it, but obviously, like I see that the before midnight movie from like a slightly different lens than you see it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be worth a rewatch for me, just that scene to see what I can gather from it. But like just watching it, I just thought it was like, they're just talking. They just woke up and they're talking. They didn't really like have like a big takeaway from that movie. Like it's also because it's like this were like limbo because it takes place like before sunset. So they haven't like they still haven't reunited. So it's like almost this like what if scenario that he's kind of like painting.
Yeah, I thought of that too. I thought of that too. I was like, what? Where is this in the continuity?
Yeah, because in the continuity, this is like there's like a what if thing. Like, oh, what if So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll check it out. I'll like rewatch it and see if I can if I can see that in it.
Yeah, watch her face while he's talking.
Yeah.
I think that because I watched her face while he was talking, and she seemed sort of like annoyed.
Yeah.
And so I felt like my interpretation of it was like they're sort of talking past each other, and this is where their relationship started to fail. Is they just feel like they're both just too intellectual giants, and they're too much for each other.
Interesting. I'll check that out again. I'll see. I'll check it out.
Yeah, sounds good. And I sort of you could like retcon it a little bit and be like, well, this I like for me where my brain put that scene was like right after Before Sunset, or like closer like after the events of Before Sunset, but before midnight.
Yes.
Before midnight. So that's just where my mind put it.
Yeah.
If we're retroactively working here.
But
anyway,
that being said,
dude, what an dude! He makes these like these comedy drama films, and like Richard Linklater proves that you don't need to explore deep philosophical concepts.
Yeah,
you don't need a big budget and a sci-fi concept or a fantasy concept.
Yeah,
because deep philosophical issues are often explored, I feel anyway, in sci-fi and fantasy stuff.
Yes.
And like crime and like genre pieces, but he proves that you can just take like simple drama stuff and really explore like deep metaphysical concepts.
Yes.
So I think he's awesome.
Real treasure, man. Like I really came out of that just thinking the exact same thing and just being like, this is like one of the best like American filmmakers that we have. Like this guy is like one of the best. And then I thought to myself, like I really want him to just kind of like circle back to this. Like he's been making commercial movies and they've been like failing. He made like this like Where's Bernadette thing, and it was like commercially and critically like a failure, So I was just like, please, just go back, like do what you do best, don't make these like weird adaptations and this like commercial shit, But I guess we'll see, In terms of negative reviews for this, these are two. One of them is the most pretentious film ever made, and the other one is this is one of the most boring movies I have ever seen. it is also one of the only movies to make me feel dizzy because of the constant shaking. And although I may disagree with that reviewer, I was like, yes. And actually, there's like a lot of reviews of just people saying like this made me dizzy. So there's some commonality happening there.
He had to do it though, because that's how dreams are, man. Everything's moving.
Yeah.
Everything's vibrating, really visually
But
and
I don't know
vividly.
how much that is like purposeful or how much that is just because of his style and how that inherently happened. Because like he's like just shooting. He's like shooting this as if this was like before sunrise. People are walking and he's like shooting them walking.
Yeah,
And then that creates this like logistical thing for the animators where they're just like, oh fuck. The background is like constantly moving and we have to constantly keep drawing it. So I was
yeah,
like, in my head, like, I was like, this could have been intentional or this could have just been like one of those happy accident things.
yeah, yeah,
But the result is both positive and negative for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think as far as exploring the human condition, Richard Linklater is one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He really just is able to point out the fact that we're just these strange organisms that find ourselves in this uh, bizarrely, like, is that a word, bizarrely,
I think so. I mean,
um,
we'll take it.
in an unusually orderly universe that has weird rules,
Yeah.
and we're just trying to make it. We're
Yeah.
trying to figure ourselves out.
Yeah.
He touches on that in a way that no one else really does.
Yeah. Which,
So, yeah.
interestingly enough, circling back to Better Call Saul and existentialism, the before Sunrise is existentialist, but the other two aren't. So he like made an existentialist film, but the other two don't qualify for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think this movie is also an existentialist piece, so we can say that.
100%. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week,
Yeah, that's that.
everybody.
That's that,
It's
everybody.
that Magic Man. And we'll see you guys on the next one for a surprise film.
Yeah, surprise film.
We'll know what we'll know what it is
Yeah.
tomorrow, but you won't know till next week.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, buddy, we're out.
I'll do, donkey.